What's up everyone? Alex here. I want to take the time right now to thank each and every one of you for helping Backlog Battle reach 5,000 subscribers. 5,000 subscribers is a milestone that's a big deal to me personally, as it shows that whatever I'm doing on the channel is something that many of you want to support and see improve. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, and I hope you all look forward to many more amazing things in the future. A while back, I wrote a post on the Backlog Battle community tab to ask for your help in coming up with ideas for this video. If you don't know what the community tab is, the link is located near the top of the channel. I post a lot of things there, from news, video game trivia, polls, and of course, links to the latest videos. In the post I mentioned, I asked you all what I should do for this video, and the numerous responses and suggestions that I got were very helpful. I've selected 3 of the suggestions from the comments, and I'll be addressing them here. The first suggestion was from Suelle Productions, who asks, I would love to know what first got you into JRPGs and how many you played. Well, Suelle, my first JRPG was actually 2. Both were released for the NES, and one of them was actually not a true JRPG in a sense. The games were Final Fantasy and Ultima, Quest of the Avatar. Final Fantasy is, of course, the one that started it all. It had bright, vibrant graphics, a huge world to explore, and a variety of enemies to battle against. The Four Fiends storyline was such a memorable concept for me, which put you up against Lich, Carrie, her NES name, Kraken, and Tiamat. All 4 represented an element, and the whole elemental weakness gameplay to me felt like an expansion of the kinds of weakness exploitation that I learned by playing against the Mega Man series bosses. Ultima, Quest of the Avatar, on the other hand, was a Japanese port of the popular PC game created by Origin. It wasn't 100% a pure port, as it actually altered gameplay to make it work on a gamepad, but the spirit of the original game was prevalent throughout. I still remember marveling at the beginning of the game, where you were asked questions about what you valued the most, which would ultimately determine the kind of class your character, the avatar, was going to be. I also loved the idea that in order to beat the game, you had to be a good person, and that the game punished you for not doing so. I still remembered the Venn diagram that described the relationships between the 8 different virtues, and how each had an accompanying dungeon that's named after its opposite negative virtue. And to your last question, I have played way too many JRPGs to even count. I will admit that as of this century, I've been a bit selective as to what kinds of JRPGs I play, but I think the fun in that is the discovery of the once unknown. Games like Conception, for example, are a treat for me to discover because they've been around for a while, and they're new to me. And I'm always happy to share my feelings and thoughts about them to all of you, in the hopes that you can relive your own feelings of elation and excitement when you first played those games by watching me talk about them. I hope this fulfills your request, Suelle, and for the rest of you watching this, I want to know what your first RPG is and how many you've played. The next suggestion is by YROSHIKU. Their suggestion is actually in the form of a situational question. You have a budget of a AAA game developer, let's say a giant like Rockstar, and you can work with any game studio you want on your project. What kind of game would you make? This is actually a very easy question to answer, but I'll answer it in 2 different ways. Number 1. I would make a true sequel to the original Chrono Trigger, hiring on Sakaguchi, Toriyama, Hori, Uematsu, and Mitsuda to come back to work on it. I think everyone would love that, wouldn't you say? Number 2. I want to make a JRPG-style game inspired by the genre's greatest games of the SNES era, with the gameplay refinements and conveniences from modern games. The funny thing about this idea is that this is exactly what Atlus Project Re Fantasy is trying to do. So, if Katsura Hashino actually nails this idea down with his team, Sojima helming character design and Meguro composing the music, they would have literally made the game I wanted to make for years. How about the rest of you? What game would you make with an almost infinite budget? The last suggestion is by Lucas Ignacio. They write, "You could reshare your motivations behind starting your YouTube career and its milestones and highlights so far." For a very long time, I knew that I loved talking about video games. When I started out, I wrote reviews for small video game websites with the hopes that I could do this for a living. But as I kept writing, I found that merely sharing my thoughts about games wasn't fulfilling in itself. I recognized that while I loved sharing my opinions on games, I loved hearing other people's opinions just as much. I then began to think of ways that I can improve my writing, in the hopes that I can encourage interesting conversations to come out from video games. I felt strongly that by talking about video games in this way, we can mutually benefit from learning about each other and expand our understanding of the larger gaming community as a whole. Unfortunately, many of these small video game websites disappeared into the ether, one by one. But I wouldn't be deterred. I then tried making podcasts and even making a YouTube group where we recorded ourselves playing video games. This latter experimentation is when I found my love for making videos. They weren't complicated videos by any stretch, but the additional challenge of creating something visually and orally interesting was something that I was enamored by. It wouldn't be until many years later that I would revisit YouTube and create Backlog Battle, however. When I started up again, I tried posting full episodes of the podcast I was still doing. I tried posting Let's Plays of games to check out if they had a great first impression. But it wasn't until I started making reviews that I truly found my voice. I feel that this quote by the food critic Anton Ego from Disney Pixar's Ratatouille sums up my feelings about reviews. In many ways, the work of a critic is easy. We risk very little, yet enjoy a position over those who offer up their work and themselves to our judgment. We thrive on negative criticism, which is fun to write and to read. But the bitter truth we critics must face is that, in the grand scheme of things, the average piece of junk is probably more meaningful than our criticism designating it so. But there are times when a critic truly risks something, and that it is in the discovery and defense of the new. The world is often unkind to new talent, new creations. The new needs friends. It's in this contemplation of what motivated me to create Backlog Battle that led me to question what it is at its heart. And after speaking with so many of you, via video comments, the community tab, Twitter, and even Discord, I look at the community we created, the kinds of games we've talked about, and how that's brought us all together. I also noticed how the way we spoke with one another was a sharp contrast to the rest of the world, and how people on the outside see our community as a refreshing oasis amidst a sea of unpleasantness. I felt that it was time to recognize those ideals and show it to everyone who watches our videos. In fact, you might have noticed that this video didn't show the usual intro that you've seen many times over. It's because starting today, that's going to change a tiny bit. The only addition are 3 simple words. Words that I feel summarize what our channel and community is all about, and what we want to accomplish together. Discover, play together. It's my hope that through the discovery of games that we can help open possibilities for each other, beyond gaming. It's by playing games that we can not only enjoy a medium that's as engaging as any other, but also learn about virtues that we hold dear. It is together that we can create interesting discussions, debates, and conversations while still being always respectful of one another, creating a place where video games are seen as a force for good in humanity. If helping discover games and discussing the games you love with us sounds great to you, please support our Patreon. By pledging $5 a month, you'll get access to a Patreon-exclusive role on our Discord, unlocking a Patreon-exclusive chat room, and also be listed in the credits in every single video, as well as have access to behind-the-scenes blog posts. You can find a link to Patreon, as well as other ways to help out, in the description below. Discover, play together. 3 simple words that are now forever part of Backlog Battle, describing our channel, our community, and the power of video games to bring us together. Thank you again for making the act of reaching 5,000 subscribers a memorable occasion, and I look forward to celebrating the next momentous milestone when we reach the magical 10,000 subscriber mark.